Now back to the Dana Barrett Show, right here on Biz 1190. Women on Wednesdays on the Dana Barrett Show.
It is the Dana Barrett Show, and it is Women on Wednesday, and I am extremely excited right now to have the owner of Galan Entertainment and the first Latina president of a U.S. television network, Telemundo, on the phone with us. Nely Galan has a brand new book called Self-Made. Good morning, Nely.
Good morning, Dana. I'm so happy to be here with you.
So I have to tell you right off the bat that I saw you speak. It has to be well over 10 years ago now, I think, at a women's conference back when I owned my very first business. And I was sort of in awe then. And so I'm a little bit starstruck right now. Not going to lie, Nely. I'm going to have to.
Oh, Dana, you're so sweet. You're so sweet. Well, did you hear me speak? Was it after I was on Celebrity Apprentice?
I don't think so. I want to say it was before, but I think the Swan had already had happened or was happening. I don't remember the details now. It was a long time ago. I actually brought my mother with me, and we were at this women's conference. Yeah, but the thing is, it's so funny because now hearing your whole story, and I was afraid at the time to come up and introduce myself, and now sort of hearing reading your book and knowing your whole story and how you feel internally sometimes just like everybody else. I wish I had introduced myself.
I do.
Anyway, nice to meet you now.
I do. So nice to meet you, Dana. So nice to meet you.
So I want to talk about your self-made, about the book, but really about your philosophy for women, because I feel like there are a lot of books on the market right now where people are talking about finding your passion and doing what you love and giving back. And you're really talking about something way more basic than that. You're saying be self-sufficient.
Yes,
yeah. So tell me about why that's so important.
Well, I think, I think that the starting point of the book is I feel like there is no true empowerment until you have your own money and until you're self-reliant. Yeah. And I think that's the starting point of the book. It's like, I think that with everything that's going on in this country, I think we all by now should know that there is no Prince Charming, right? We all live in a time when a mate is not necessarily going to be able to support us, or the mate is not going to save us. Our corporations that we work for are not going to keep us for 40 years. They're all being disrupted. They're going through their own stuff. And God knows what's going to happen in our country with, what's going on with the government. So I think it's a moment, and I think that was the starting point for me to realize no one is going to save me. I have to stop wishing for that. And by the way, that's a daily practice because it's embedded in us that somehow somebody's going to save us. Yeah. And when you let that feeling die and you realize you're going to do it yourself, and I think I mentioned in the book that for me it happened when I realized I was not going to stay with the father of my son. And I woke up one day and I realized I'm going to be a single mom. And I had a panic attack. Yeah. And I go, how am I going to raise this kid? And how am I going to support him? And one of my girlfriends came over to me and she goes, look at everything you've done and look at the money you've made and you've saved. You're Prince Charming. Yeah. If you were, you'd be Prince Charming. And I realized, you know what? I have to take the reins of my life. And the next 3 years of my life, I made the most money I ever made in my life because I just decided I could. Yeah. Yeah. Nely, it's so interesting because one of the things I think, I was raised by a single mom and I also was a single mom myself, am a single mom. So I really get the whole, don't look for a man to take care of you, have enough money to take care of yourself kind of thing. But one of the things I thought was so interesting about what you said when you were debunking the whole Prince Charming myth is that we often, it's not even sometimes that we're just looking for a man to take care of us. It's that we put that whole Prince Charming myth on our company or on our boss, and we expect on our boss, right, and we expect the company to be the one to rescue us. Yeah, somehow we think that if we're good girls and we do a good job or whatever, the boss is going to automatically give you a raise or the corporation is going to see you. And oftentimes the corporation has so many problems, and you're just one of the chess pieces in so many chess pieces. It's not even their fault. Yeah. They don't have time to worry about you. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Nely, one of the other stories I love in the book, and I really could talk to you for hours. We're speaking with Nely Galan right now, author of Self-Made. But one of the stories you tell in the book, and I'm going to get you to at least tell a short version of it, is when you were working and the company was sort of sold out from underneath you. And your boss said, when you went to complain, he said, go get your own chips. Yes. Can you tell that story? Well, I went to see my boss. Sure. I was working like a dog. I was very young, running a little TV station for my very wealthy boss. And one day I walk into work, and his lawyer told me that we had sold the company. And I didn't even know the company was for sale. Yeah. And I got so mad because I felt like it was my baby, not because of the money, or I didn't even know about the money. It was more about, it was my baby.
Yeah.
And I went to see him, and I said, how could you do this to me? How could you not tell me? And he goes, young lady, those are my chips. You want to play, go get your own chips.
I love that.
And I was so angry that he said that to me, but in fact, I say that was the greatest moment of my life, because he made me think a bigger vision for myself than I would have ever thought for myself.
Yeah.
And I realized I'm never going to work for anybody again. I'm going to do this for myself.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the other things you talk about, Nely, in the book is really about being, this whole idea of saving up a couple of years worth of salary to have for emergencies. And you talk about cutting back. And I got to pick on you a little bit here, because you're telling me not to buy shoes. And I love shoes. So why can't I buy shoes?
Well, I love shoes too. Well, that's really a metaphor. I think what I mean by that is oftentimes women's lives, that things happen to us and we get disappointed, right?
Yep.
And life is full of disappointments, because life is long-term gratification. And so to make ourselves happy in the moment, we buy, whether it's shoes or a dress or jewelry that we don't really need.
Right.
And then it goes in the closet and it makes us happy for an hour or two or a weekend, but that's it.
Yeah.
And instead, if we keep our eyes on the prize of a big goal, like I'm going to own my house and I'm going to pay it off, or whatever it is, I think that then you can not buy those things, and you can say, I'm going to wait, because I have a big dream. I have a big idea.
Yeah.
And, as I tell women, I'm not Beyonce, I'm not J-Lo. And by the time I was 45, going from an intern to, working my way up a business and then starting my own businesses, I had enough money at 45 to retire.
Yeah.
Not that I'm ever going to retire, but so it's doable in this country, not in a grandiose way, not by being a famous singer or dancer. Being a normal, ordinary woman can have an extraordinary life. But I won't lie to you, I did sacrifice for a number of years. Now I buy all the shoes I want.
Yeah.
But for many years, I lived in an apartment. People say to me, well, how am I going to get there? I go, well, if you're not willing to sacrifice something, you can live in an apartment and you can share the apartment with roommates. You can move to a place that's cheaper. You can not go out every Friday and Saturday night to go drinking and go to a restaurant. You really do have to have a bigger vision for your life, but it's not very long that you have to do it.
Yeah.
In order for it to pay off.
Yeah, and I think too, you talk a little bit about kind of the American ideal of that Prince Charming, but also of getting chosen and picked for something. And you say that there is absolutely
choose yourself.
Yeah, and absolutely. You also say that there is sort of an immigrant advantage, and that the rest of us need to really kind of remember back to when we were immigrants. Talk about what that means.
Well, I think immigrants are very grateful, and that's why I made the chapter Think Like an Immigrant, because you come to this country, you've lost everything, you're grateful to be here, you know that life could be worse somewhere else, and you work like a dog, and you need to rebuild because your family and you are so sad because you lost everything that your goal is to rebuild.
Yeah.
And so you get there quicker than everybody else because you go, you know what? I'm going to sell clothes out of my closet on the weekend and put them on eBay, and I'm going to drive my car as a Lyft or an Uber, and I'm going, I don't want people to think that becoming an entrepreneur is grandiose. It's not grandiose. Women should start it as a side hustle while they have another job, 1 hour on Sunday, and just take one thing in your closet that you think is unsellable and put it on Amazon or on eBay and sell it. And you'll become addicted. And that's the beginning of the entrepreneurial muscle that you have to engage.
Yeah, I love that. And I will say this too, when it comes to the idea of cutting back, that's hard for us. I mean, we're sort of a buy more kind of society. And I think a lot of people don't really want to hear that message. Don't you think?
Well, I'll tell you something. I think I'll tell you the way to hear it quickly. If you go find somebody that's 85, go find a woman that's 65, 55, that is struggling in their old age and ask them what happened.
Yeah.
Because, the women that I know that are 85 and they're doing well and traveling the world and, maybe their husband passed away, maybe their kids are too busy to see them, but they have, they plan their future, are women that at some point in their life sacrifice. And anyone can start at any time, but I think you need to look into your future to be able to make the sacrifices in your present.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are just about out of time. Nely Galan, author of Self-Made, thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Dana, thank you so much. I hope to talk to you again soon.
Absolutely. The book, again, called Self-Made, brand new, just out. So go get a copy of that. I really did read the entire book, and some great tips in there, not only just about sort of saving money but also on how to be an entrepreneur. I mean, she really gives a lot of very practical tips about getting government contracts and sort of taking advantage of everything there is out there as an entrepreneur. So fascinating book and a fascinating life story. She kind of weaves it through all of the tips as well. So anyway, awesome to have her here. All right, it is the Dana Barrett Show. We've got some more headlines for you, some big national stories to talk about. That's next.